You're tired of the way things are going in your life. You're tired of the person you've been stuck inside of, the same script repeating over and over again. And so you decided to move from one city to the next, maybe even change jobs regularly. But you find that no matter how many times you move, the same thing follows you. And when we first make this decision, what we think will happen is that we're going to be a brand new person. We are going to start fresh. All these patterns and these habits that have kept us stuck, not only within our limiting beliefs, but our old traumas when we were kids. We believe that our past will finally be left behind us because after all, if I go to a new environment, different people, different restaurants, although it's the same food, but everything is seemingly different. But what you find actually happens is that you're the exact same person as you were in every single other city, town, job that you left once before. You find it's the same patterns repeating themselves. They just manifest just a little bit differently than the last. But fundamentally, they are identical. You also find that your past persistently follows you, and it is just 2 inches behind. We unfortunately mistake a change in scenery for a change in soul. So why is this happening, and what can you do about it? I want to give you an example from a group call we had by the time I upload this, I think 2 weekends ago. It was a group session inside of my free community, and it's very common for a lot of men to feel like this is just sort of like their thing, that they're the weird ones who are always finding themselves moving or changing jobs frequently. But you would be amazed at how many of the men in that group raised their hand and said, I've been doing the exact same thing. One individual in particular had the same scenario where he was moving perpetually from one city to the next, finding himself feeling hopeless now. Here he thought that changing everything externally is what's going to actually allow him to have the motivation to do something different. But it just never results in that way. And the reason why is because you can't run away from a script. You can't run away from a deeper lie that you're carrying about yourself. And so the way to illustrate it, we'll look at person A and person B. Person A will look at their life. They're feeling imprisoned by their philosophy. I always use the example of a people pleaser, and that can manifest in different ways. Let's say somebody who likes to just work incredibly hard all the time to prove their self-worth and to prove that they're useful to the people around them. There's nothing wrong with working hard. In fact, working hard is amazing. It really gives you a sense of validation and strength as a man. But when it's acted out of a preservationist mindset, you are working really hard to avoid particular judgment. You're working really hard because if you don't, you'll feel ashamed, you'll feel small, you'll feel useless, and therefore you perpetually keep yourself in this heightened state of stress. In that regard, we're operating on a different fuel source. But let's imagine that's you. If you think about what's easier, it's going to be easier for me to just pick up and move because what do I have to lose, really? Well, what I have to lose is my routines. The same street that I drive down, the same coffee shop that I go to, those will be gone. That sucks, but not a big deal. Memories, I'll have memories of these different places, memories of the people that I've met, especially if you've been in that same city or town for a long period of your life. Perhaps some friends are going to be lost. Places that you used to go to no longer can be available. Maybe even some family. All of these are difficult. However, one thing to remember is that people will do, and Carl Jung famously said, people will go through any extent, any length to avoid confronting their own souls. And so this is actually a much easier alternative because what does it require? It requires avoidance. Just avoid what's going on internally. We do it all the time. So if you ignore it, then the easiest answer is just to change the external environment. Because the alternative, person B has to do what? He has to face his past. Really confront it. He needs to do what the soul requires. And I get asked in the group session, and even after in like the main feed of the community, it's very hard to sort of conceptualize what that means. Like, what does the soul want? How do I even build a relationship with it? Typically what I say is when the soul comes forward and asks of you of something, it's not going to be something you want to do. If you're a people pleaser and you never put boundaries in your life, it's going to ask you to do that. It's going to say these people in your life are not respecting you. They're not respecting who you are, and they're just using you because you know you're going to say yes to everything. And so I'm asking of you to set a boundary for me. And it's only when we bring it up to the head that we say, well, I don't know if I do that, they're gonna think I'm like terrible. It's all gonna revolve around the one central lie, that if I don't do this, they're gonna think I'm not worthy. People will reject me. And my father was always right, that I am just a loser and I am someone that no one wants to be around. It all will revolve back into a central story. It will give you a direction that you don't really want to do, but then if you act on that direction, you will feel a sense of calmness and peace, especially when you visualize your life. If you were to do its bidding, its calling for you. And all of this leads to the death of your identity, the person you have developed for all these years that has served you for a while, but has now become your very own personal prison. However, the good news is you hold the key. We are the ones that imprison ourselves as long as we're not in a very terrible environment or a country that is quite literally imprisoning you. But if you're watching this, more than likely, I hope that you're fine. And really, the prisons are just the ones we create through just the years of survival and adaptation from our childhood. So what is it that you can do to change that? And then finally, actually live a life where you're feeling more peace, you're feeling you have authority over yourself, that you're no longer puppeted and controlled by your past. The very first thing we need to go for, we have to just stop running. No more running, no more thinking that if I change where my feet are, that it's going to change anything internally. That's something we have to own, we have to accept. Then we got to go through the 3 phases. This is straight out of my sovereign integration system. Next step, deconstruction phase. We need to find the patterns that repeat themselves over and over again. If you've moved multiple times, you will notice there are certain things that repeat over and over. For me, when I was living in the city of Markham, that's in Ontario, there was a certain way that I acted, my central lie, that the central lie was, if I don't succeed at a very high level, if I don't get the attention of my peers, if I'm not respected for something, then I am useless, not worthy, and everyone's just going to ignore me and forget about me. And so I acted out that central lie through a sport, through jiu-jitsu. Now, I had a very deep passion for it, but that other part of me came in and muddied it a little bit. And so when I moved to the city of Barrie, which is more north, I thought, fresh start, different person. And in a lot of ways, I was different. But that central lie simply just found a different host. Instead of anchoring itself to the results of medals, it anchored itself to the result of my business, the academy, how many members I have, how many of them would listen to me and do what I say, and how much would they admire me. It just attached itself to something else. And if you reflect on your own life, you'll notice your patterns do that. The central lie will, to avoid you looking at it and challenging it, will simply just shift in where it attaches itself. It's like a symbiotic suit. Identify the loops. This is related to the patterns. What are the thoughts, the images, the words that you repeat to yourself over and over again that then manifest in action, the same repeated action? Eventually we go on autopilot and our bodies just do the work. And then we often don't realize that the trauma and all this lives within the body. Revealing the central lie, that is the deconstruction phase. Blueprint phase, now we actually have to start kind of mapping everything out. We need to challenge the patterns, see why is it that we do certain things. Trace it back. Does it relate back to the central lie? Or is it something that is just sort of a quirk of being a human being and we just do weird things sometimes, right? So we need to really get everything under control and understand it. Building awareness, because what you have awareness of will control you less. A complex, an emotional knot, a memory that exists within you because of, let's say, an abusive background. That complex, when activated or triggered by something externally, will inflate and rush to the brain and eventually completely hijack you, and you'll feel the sense of you've lost yourself, as if a possession took over. And so when this kicks in, you have no ability to actually think rationally or anything. It has to pass, and then once you feel more centered to yourself, you can then observe it. But that is the objective, is to build awareness, because the more awareness you build of it, the smaller it can become, because then we can take action, and it's just tools. All you need are tools that are going to reduce the size, or better yet, expand yourself. And that's sort of, I guess, a fun topic we can have, is whether the complex itself is shrinking, the trauma itself, or whether you are just expanding larger than it. Whichever one I think inspires you most is probably the way to go. Confront that lie and its origin, knowing where it came from, how it happened, who imposed that on you, and how much have you now just taken it and multiplied it into your life. Which then finally, this is the most important stage towards integration, towards living the life that your soul is craving, and that it knows what to do. You don't need anyone to tell you what to do. You just need to be shown how to get out of your own way, really. The application phase, you have to act on it. You have to follow the soul's calling, because I always say this, the soul has one purpose. That light within you, connected to God, connected to everything, that gives you life, that gives our make computers an existence. It demands one thing, and that is just to express, to fully live on this earth as much as possible, to bloom, if you will. And if it doesn't feel like it's being blossomed, it will cause a lot of pain, a lot of frustration until you listen. Because understand this, the soul does not care. Excuse me. The soul does not care about anything that you consider to be a problem. What people are going to think of you. What if people think it's like stupid that I've changed jobs? I want to look like an idiot. It doesn't care. It just wants to express. And so then we need to ground ourselves inside of our hearts. We need to show internal compassion, self-love, and understanding that as we venture into this journey towards peeling off our old habits, our old identity, that we are going to get criticized. We are going to get judged. We're going to get called crazy and stupid and indecisive and fickle. It's going to happen more than likely. And so who is left? It's just you for now. It's you to be with yourself, to show yourself that compassion, that grace. And then your mind is the one that plans and adapts. That's where this comes into play. I said in the previous video, people live their lives inverted. It's soul leads, the heart grounds, and the mind plans, executes, and strategizes. But if we flip it the other way around and we let this guy be in charge, it is a place of paranoia, stress, anxiety, panic, the fear of the future, regret of the past, and all these things. And you bring it down to the heart is a squishy place, right? It wants to feel loved and wants to be accepted. But then when it's not, it can get very vengeful and angry and bitter. It can really just launch you and swing your emotions left, right, and center. And then that just makes the noise of the soul absolutely, you can't hear it, because the soul is a humming experience. It's not something that screams at you. And it's not something that always comes in and goes like, you need to listen. It doesn't really work that way. And so when you operate from the bottom working up, everything will feel in a much stronger alignment. And so if you're on that journey right now and you're finding it extremely difficult to do alone, and you've been at it for some time and nothing's really working, down below, I got a free school community. Jump in. There's men of all different types of personalities that have their own background, but believe it or not, the similarities are amazing at how often we think we're alone. We think our struggles are just completely isolated. But in reality, someone is sharing the exact same scenario in a completely different country. It's a beautiful, beautiful space. It's a place where men don't have to feel like they're going to get pressured into hustle. They don't have to feel like they need to sit there and cry. It is an absolute no pressure space with one main objective: to bring you to a space of integration so that you can finally live fully in the way that you feel will bring you authority, power, peace, and purpose, of course. With our group sessions every week, it just launches it out of the park. So click that link down below, join the free community if you need any assistance or help in this space. Thank you very much. I'll see you on the next video.